Hey guys, it's me KSMR here, and today I'm going to be reading a Kenma Kozume ex-listener. This is a depressed listener, so if you're having like a hard time or whatever, this hopefully will help you. I hope it will. And this one is titled It'll Get Easier, and this was scripted or like written by Ichigo ASMR, which is actually the inspiration for this channel in the first place. So I found out that they posted their scripts, so I decided to read one because I really like their stories, and you guys should probably go watch theirs because theirs is better, but people like my voice too, so here I am reading it. And yeah, there's also a Kuro one, so if you guys are interested in hearing that one, make sure to comment down below and tell me. And now without further ado, let's get right on into the video. You laid in your bed and you exhaled shakily. As you touched the neckline of your shirt and your face, you could feel the dampness from your tears. It had been another day of you crying from school, shutting yourself in your room, crying, and then wanting to sleep forever. You had been repeating this cycle for over a month now, and you weren't planning on stopping. You had fallen into another slump, and another slump, where you had felt like you were worthless and that you were such a failure. You hated what you saw in the mirror, so you often would avoid reflective surfaces whenever possible. Usually you went into a depressive state like this periodically, and they happened every couple of months and lasted for a few weeks, but this time it was different. The dark feelings swirling inside of you hadn't ended like you thought they would, and if anything, you felt worse. It was an inconvenience for you to get up in the morning and take a walk to your school, Nakama High. It felt like you were running a marathon. You had always been an introvert, but now people were just tired of being around you even more than usual. By the afternoon, you would always spot the heavy eye bags underneath your eyes whenever you would accidentally look into a window, and you made no attempt to even hide them. Your friends had asked you if you were sick, and you tried to wave them off, but you didn't want them to worry about you, as you had already felt like you were a burden to your friends and family. Every day, when you walked, it felt like you were carrying a bag of bricks on your back. Your negative thoughts weighed you down, and you let it happen. You felt hopeless, like nothing you did was good enough, and you were reaching your limits. You laid on your back and just stared at the ceiling. You wiped the tears from your cheeks and readjusted your shirt. You turned slightly and caught a glimpse of yourself in the mirror that hung on your wall. The bags under your eyes looked darker than usual, and your face was still damp from your tears. Your shirt had spots on it from where the tears had landed, and your eyes were puffy from crying. You groaned in frustration and threw a pillow at your reflection. You flopped on your back against the bed and sighed. You felt more tears swelling up in your eyes. You tried to keep them in, as you thought that you were pathetic for crying so much. You had shoved your face into your pillow and clutched the bed sheets as you sobbed. You wanted the pain to end, and this feeling in the pit of your stomach to empty and drift away. You were in your thoughts when you heard a light click or a light knock on the bedroom door, and you leaned your forearms as you looked at the door. You hastily wiped your tears from your face and adjusted your shirt again, and then walked slowly to the door. You turned the knob slowly and opened it, expecting to see one of your family members, but instead you saw your boyfriend, Kozume Kenma. Your eyes widened as you looked up at him. He looked at you with concern in his eyes, and you noticed that his hair was tied back messily. His shoulders were pulled back and tense, and he had pushed your door completely open, and he said sternly, "We need to talk." You were surprised by his tone, as he was usually quiet and calm and gentle around you, but this was different. You would watch as he sat on your bed and put his backpack against the floor, and you had closed the door slowly behind him. As you soon sat down, you noticed that he had moved closer to you, and you slightly flinched. As soon as you did that, you knew he would notice, and you felt guilt welling up inside of you. You didn't want to insult him. In fact, you craved his touch. He was always soft and extremely gentle with you, and all you wanted to do was hug him, but you felt like you didn't deserve it. You thought that you weren't enough to be with him, and you had always thought that breaking up with him, and you had thought about breaking up with him a few times before. You never really worked up the courage, since you couldn't because of how kind he was to you. You were so conflicted, and you wished everything could just be simple. You both sat in silence for a few moments before Kenma turned and asked you, "What's wrong? I've been worried about you." You felt your heart ache as he said that. Once again, you would wish that he just didn't care about you. You would wish that he wasn't so kind, so distancing yourself from him would be easier. You sighed and simply responded, "Nothing, I'm fine, you don't need to worry." You could see that Kenma was just staring at you, and you avoided eye contact. You sometimes hated how perceptive he was, since he could often see right through you. However, your efforts were in vain as Kenma narrowed his eyes at you, and he said, "You're lying. Please, tell me what's wrong. I just want to help." You turned to him, and you both stared each other right in the eyes. You looked deep into his golden eyes, and you broke down, tears beginning to fall down your cheeks as you shook violently and sobs racked through your body. You slouched over, covering your face with your hands as you tried to breathe. You could feel your walls crashing down. Kenma wrapped his arms around you and pulled you into him, and you rested your head on his chest. You clutched his shirt in your hands as you struggled to breathe, and you cried. Kenma rubbed your back soothingly and whispered kind words into your ears that only made you feel worse, as you didn't want him to deal with the broken pieces of your existence. That were your existence. After a few moments of intense crying, you were finally able to catch your breath. You were shaking, and Kenma hugged you tighter. He smelled like lemongrass, and you could feel your eyes getting heavier. Kenma pulled away slightly, his arm still around you. He asked, "Are you okay?" You turned your head and looked at him, and you slowly shook your head. Kenma looked at you with concern, and he lightly kissed your forehead. You felt your cheeks turn red, and you buried your face into his shirt. After a few minutes of comforting silence, Kenma broke it as he said, "Are you ready to talk? You don't have to if you don't want to, it's just, know that I'm here when you're ready, okay? Always." You smiled into his shirt as you leaned away from him. You set your hands on your knees and sighed in a response. "No, I'm ready. You deserve to know." You looked at Kenma as he smiled, and he placed his hand on top of yours, intertwining your fingers with his as you began to talk. You had told him about how you had felt uncomfortable in your own body and how you wished that you were someone else. You had told him about how you hated what you saw in the mirror and how you felt like you were failing everyone around you. You had talked about how you felt hopeless and that you were a failure and that you weren't going to amount to anything. You laid everything on the table because a part of you believed that he really did care and he wanted to know. So you figured that there was nothing to hide now. You didn't spare him any of your darker thoughts, since you had thought that he deserved nothing but the whole truth for being so kind when he didn't have to be. After you were done talking, you sighed and wiped your tears away. You had turned to look at Kenma, and his eyes were widened with horror, and you were scared about what he was going to do next. But what he did made your heart flutter instead. He basically tackled you, but with a warm hug. He trapped his arms at your side as he hugged you and buried his face into your neck. You tensed up in surprise and were still shocked. Kenma wasn't one to do something like this all of a sudden. He was usually so laid back and would warn you if he was going to hug you or kiss you. But he continued to hug you, your muscles slowly relaxed, and you rested your head on his shoulder. Kenma's warmth soothed you, and you melted into his embrace. You would hug him back, but your arms were pressed against his chest. After a few moments, you said with a tentative smile, "Hey, Kuzu, can't I hug you back?" He felt his cheeks burn at the nickname that you called him, and he said, "Oh, sorry." He loosened the grip around you, and you wrapped your arms around his neck. His arms tightened around your waist again, and you felt your heartbeat quicken, but in a good way. You continued to hold each other for a few more blissful moments, until Kenma quietly asked, "Why didn't you tell me? You know how you've been feeling." You sighed and responded, I felt like I couldn't. I didn't want to burden you with my thoughts because I know you've been busy with volleyball." And he cut you off as he let you go firmly and placed his hand on your shoulders. He said, "Nothing is more important to me than your health. Do you understand me?" You were surprised again by this sudden burst of emotions, and you gulped slowly. Kenma closed his eyes and sighed, and his hands moved down to yours as he held them gently. He kissed your hand softly and looked at you as he said, And I'm sorry that you felt like this and you felt like you couldn't tell me. I should have said something before. I don't really have an excuse. I'm so sorry. You shook your head and nervously said, "No, Kozume, please, don't blame yourself. Those were my feelings, and you never made me feel like I couldn't talk to you." He paused and laughed as he said, "It's my own stupid brain that stopped me from saying something. You don't have to be sorry. It's nothing that you have to apologize for." Kenma smiled widely and he blushed and turned away. Kenma squeezed your hand and said, "Thank you for talking to me, even if I kind of forced you. We're gonna help you get better, together, until you're as happy as you can be and doing okay again." You turned to look at him and returned to the bright smile. You poked his arm and teased, "You know, I don't think I've ever seen you so upset before." Kozume laughed and said, "Yeah, me neither." You both laughed loudly and continued for a few moments until you were both struggling to breathe. Kenma put his arm around you as he said, "I just want you to know that I love you, okay?" You smiled and sweetly said, "I know, and I love you too." Kenma returned your smile and was about to say something when you yawned. You rubbed your eyes and blinked, and Kenma noticed how you looked tired. He pulled his arms around you and leaned back against the pillow, and you squeaked in surprise. Kenma said softly, "I know how tired you are, so sleep, okay? For me?" You looked up at him and smiled sweetly and buried your face into his neck. You began to drift off. For the first time in a while, you actually believed that you'd be okay again. Kenma smiled and kissed the top of your head, and you fell asleep with the sweet scent of lemongrass. I'm serious, that is so sweet. I love this story so much. Ichigo ASMR scripts are really good, but I read them faster than they do because I know that she reads really slow, which it's not a bother, but I process things really fast like this, if that makes sense. So I naturally read it faster. So hopefully that doesn't bother you guys. And if you guys want to read theirs where they probably didn't make any mistakes, but also the fact that I made a good 3 mistakes in that whole video. Are you guys proud of me or what? Because I think you should be. But anyways, that's kind of narcissistic of me, but oops. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys had a fantastic day, and this was such a good one. I'm serious. You guys should really have me read the girl one because I want to do that. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified every single time I post a video. And also comment down below some other characters you want me to do, and I'll try my best to do for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.